Get down on your knees. If you don't believe, just pray, 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 pray.
That's the lead-off track from Jesse Ahern's new album, Roots Rock Rebel. Jesse's ready to hit the road, but before he does, we catch up with him at home in Quincy, Massachusetts, where we talk about working for the Dropkick Murphys.
If you're looking for the answer, just pray, 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 pray. I just packed up. I'm getting ready to go on tour.
That's right. You're going to Bangor, Maine. Is that correct?
I am correct. I'll be in Bangor, Maine, and I'll be gone from now till December 7th.
That's a long trip. How do
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, it's not usually what I like to do. 2 months, 2 weeks out on the road that's a long time. You know, I have three children. I have a partner, and
right.
I have all that stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty sad tonight, but it is what it is. It's part of the gig, you know.
Yep. Well, with you going to Bangor, Maine, I can't stop thinking about King of the Road in the back of my head, which is probably what you're going to be in about. Do you know the song King of the Road? It mentions Bangor, Maine. But that's how my brain works. Anyway, congratulations on a new record, Roots Rock Rebel. Very exciting. What came out last couple of Fridays ago, was it?
Yeah, September 15th it came out.
Yeah. What'd you do on the day? Anything exciting?
No, actually, to tell you the truth, I turned some wrenches. You know, sometimes I have to work when I come home, so
oh boy.
I helped a buddy out doing a little work, and you know, I just kind of relished in it. It had been kind of a long project. It got pushed off a couple of times,
right?
So it was just nice to finally get it out into the world.
Yeah,
and hopefully people are liking it. We'll see. And so far, so good.
So far, so good. Well, so this is like the first one that you've done on a label other than being self-released. Your buddies at the Dropkick Murphys started a label, and you're on it. So how has that affected anything as far as the way you look at the release?
Oh, it's great. You know, it's nice to have friends of yours that you've been on the road with many times take a chance with you and put an album out and maybe believe in you. Is that the word I'm looking for? You know, possibly. Champion you.
Yep.
However you want to look at it. And so that was really nice. It was nice to see my name attached to their name. You know, that's obviously a great thing. And hopefully that's something that maybe catches people's eye when they see it, you know, like maybe not right away wanting to give me a try, and then maybe seeing Dropkick Murphy somehow attached to it. And they'll say, oh, I'll listen to this guy.
Very good. So when did the album itself start coming together? When did you realize you had songs that were going to be this record?
Well, I was on the road last year. I think like it must have been, I don't know, maybe it was February or March of 2022. I had a few songs laying around, and I was kind of working on them on the road. You know, I was trying them out, and you know, I'd shown some to Kenny, and he had liked one of the songs and said, maybe you should work on this, and maybe you should start thinking about putting an album out. And he had mentioned maybe working with Ted Hutt, who obviously, I mean, I'm sure most people in the music business or fans of music know who Ted Hutt is. And I got connected up with Ted. I came to him with a group of songs. We kind of like arranged them. We wanted to capture what I was doing live, and that was really just me and a guitar and a harmonica just kind of bashing away, you know. And we wanted to keep it as simple as we could, but make it interesting. And I'm hoping that we caught that vibe. I'm not too sure, you know. I'll have to wait and see what it's like on the road and get the feedback from people. And but so far so good. And Ted and I finished the songs up, and we shopped them around to a few labels. And I don't know, it just seemed to make sense that the Dropkick Murphys had Dummy Luck Music, and they said, why don't we just do this thing together? And we did, and here we are now.
Here we are now. Very good. So it's going to be interesting when you hit the road, I think, because I was just watching the news here, and, you know, a lot of your songs are very kind of blue-collar, working-class man kind of thing. The UAW is striking in Detroit, and both Biden and Trump are falling all over themselves to be identified with those guys. So do you get a lot of that kind of discussion and confrontation when you're doing shows? Do people want to talk about that?
Well, you know, this is how I look at it. I've been traveling for a number of years now, and like, you know, maybe not living in the United States, you might hear things about certain states or certain areas of the country where it's like, oh, that's conservative, that's red, that's blue, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
So I travel around and I do a lot of talking to people, and I'm starting to realize that, like I have a little bit of empathy for everybody, a little bit of compassion. I have a little bit of, similar views. And yeah, it can be a test when I'm on the road. Some people really like it and they eat it up and they like what I have to say, and some people don't, and I run into that a lot in the Dropkick Murphys, fan base. I think there's a little bit of there's a big mix there, so
Right.
I just kind of weed my way through it, and I always try to come at someone without judging, and I always try to come at someone with, hey, these are my views.
Right.
And I try to be empathetic towards other people's, ideals and their views. And usually I don't cram it down anyone's throat. I just sing about it. I don't sit up there and give rants and
Yep.
talk all night about politics. I just kind of sing about it and let people take it for what they want to.
Yep. But having said that, there's a song called Back Against the Wall. It's fairly political on the album.
With your back against the wall, will you fight or will you fall? Whoa, with nothing left to lose, will you run or light the fuse? Whoa.
Yeah, I'm pro-labor, I mean,
Right.
I've always worked with my hands. I've always had to kind of get dirty, and I wish music paid the bills full time. But like I said, I have a family, and
Yep.
I know what it's like to have to come home and, turn wrenches and get up and work every day. And that's kind of where that song derived from. I come from a work class background. My father was a union plumber. My whole family are union plumbers. I've bounced in and out of the union my whole life, depending on how music's going, so it's like, it's just, yeah, I don't know. I guess that's right from the heart, that song.
Yeah, fair enough. And of course, 8 of the 10 songs on the album are your own originals, but there's a couple of covers. You cover The Clash and Lou Reed, which are always good things to do. Why did you choose those 2 particular songs?
Well, I love that album. What's that, New York? Is that the one Strawman is on?
Yep.
I love Lou Reed, and I've always thought Lou Reed has been kind of like a champion of, maybe standing up for people.
Yep.
That's how I feel about him. If you listen to his songs, he's pretty, he paints a good picture of how he grew up in New York. As far as I'm concerned, that's what I read from it.
Does anybody need another $1 million movie? Does anybody need another $1 million star? Does anybody need to be told over and over, spitting in the wind comes back to you twice as hard? Straw man, going straight to the devil. Straw man, going straight to hell. Straw man, go straight to the devil. Straw man, straw man.
I really like that song. And I remember when I said to Ted, I have a cover I want to do. And I said, he was like, I didn't really look that interested. And then I said Lou Reed, and his ears perked up. I saw him get like excited, and I had said I really want to cover Strawman, and we made it work. And the same goes with The Clash. I just love this song, Bank Robber. I've been doing it for a number of years live.
Right.
It's one of my favorite songs to play, and it just made sense to kind of put it on the album,
Yep. So the album is both fairly sparse, but a lot of different sounds and configurations and whatever. So tell me a little bit about the process that you guys went to, you and Ted, to record and get the vibe that you got.
That's interesting. I had kind of a tough time recording this album because it is so sparse, and it was like there was no need for a big studio. We didn't really, spend a lot of money on the bells and whistles and, your typical studio. We kind of wrote it in a small little project studio, and, used great equipment. And whenever you use good mics and good equipment, you're going to get a good sound. But
right.
it almost felt like a project studio vibe to me, but that also kind of brought it home. I feel like um, it was more organic that way, And
Mm-hmm.
but that being said, we did it in a real quick amount of time because at the time when we first started recording it, it was kind of time sensitive. They wanted to have it out last fall.
Uh-huh.
In whatever reason, it didn't happen. It just we finished the album in the fall, but a lot of things go on. I guess that's just the business. It's the nature of things. And here we are a year later, a year and a couple of
Yep.
months later, and it's out. But yeah, it was an interesting recording process, and I was also very intimidated by Ted because he works with like a lot of great musicians, and I'm not really that well known or known, and he took me on, so it was kind of cool. I learned a lot by working with him.
Right. And you did a little, there's some co-writes between the two of you as well, right? So how'd that work out?
Correct. Yeah, he definitely I gave him a lot of co-writing on it because I feel like some of the songs, I don't know if they would have gotten written if he wasn't in my corner. I think
Yeah.
like he really pushed me to be a little more honest about how I felt, and a lot of those songs were already pretty much done, but he just helped me bring them out in a way that I really don't think I would have brought them out if he wasn't involved. They might not have told the same story.
Okay. All right. And there's a track called The Older I Get that's got some Jamie Wyatt and Ken Casey. Tell me how that one came together in particular, if you don't mind.
The older I get, the less I know. The older I get, the less I know. It never came easy letting go. The older I get, the less I know.
Well, The Older I Get is one of those songs I was working on while I was touring the year before. I had a couple of different versions of it. I was playing it out, and it was like I could see people kind of getting into it, but for some reason it was never quite a hit. It was like it was halfway there, and that's one of the songs I brought to Ted, and he thought, wow, this is worth working on. So
Right.
him and I worked on it. We got that chorus kind of catchy. And at the time, I had been preparing to go out on the road with Jamie Wyatt and Ken on the Woody Guthrie tour.
Right.
And while I was out on that tour, Jamie had heard the song and she really liked it and said, hey, can I sing this on stage with you every night? So every night she would come out and do that song with me. So it just made sense for her to sing it on the album.
Yep.
And I'm very happy she did. I really love her voice on it. And Ken's just a good pal. I asked him to do it. He's always up for a challenge, I like to say.
Right.
And he's just a great guy, and he lent his voice to it, and I'm really happy how the song came out.
Right. So now you mentioned that this album was supposed to come out almost a year ago. So in the interim, have you been writing more songs, and have you got another stash ready?
Yeah, I'm always writing. I'm hoping to get into the studio. Maybe I'm going to be out in the States for a month, and I'm going to be in Europe for a month.
Right.
Then I'm going to be home for the month of December. I'm probably going to choose to lay low with the family.
Sure.
And then I have another tour that's maybe going to pop in January. So I'm hoping somewhere in like the end of the end of February, I can get in and get another album going.
Gotcha. So do your songs go down different live when you're in the States as opposed to overseas?
It's funny, because I have tested the water with a lot of these songs. And I don't know, man. I think people get that, rich versus poor thing all around the world, right?
I believe that. Yeah, I think so.
But I also, I think there are some barriers, when I'm overseas. There's obviously always a language barrier, and sometimes when I'm talking a little bit from the stage, I see some people understand, some people don't.
Right.
But some of the things I say, I think resonate with people, and they seem to go all right over there. I'll know this this November when I'm over there singing a handful of them. I don't know. I'd be pretty surprised to see how some song like "I Drive a Truck" goes.
Yep.